All right, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Benchud, and we're going to talk about inbound versus outbound sales. All right, which one is better, which one is worse? There is no right or wrong answer to that, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one, and you can decide for yourself which one is better for your business, okay? I recommend you do both, but it's better if you can laser focus on one and then move to the other. So, the pros of inbound is shorter sales cycle, okay? That's because when someone has been seeing your content for 6 months and they love your content, they're already sold. So the moment that they click the book a call button on your website and they schedule a discovery call with you or an audit, or they request an audit, they're already sold. They want to work with you. It's just a matter of price, okay? That's pretty much it. It's not a matter of like if, it's a matter of price. And the second thing is it's easy to close big deals. As I said, because they've been following you for so long, when you pitch them, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month with 2, 3, 4, 5% of advertising sales or whatever your deal structure is, it's much easier because they're, again, more warmed up to you as a brand and they feel like they know you, right? So the third thing, this is really, really cool. I didn't think that this was gonna happen, but you build your talent pipeline. What's crazy is that all of our deals, 95% of our deals in the last 6 months have come from inbound marketing, okay, or just inbound. And we actually stopped doing outbound like 6 months ago, not on purpose, but because I had to fire my virtual assistant who was running the outbound system. And we just never turned it back on because inbound was performing so well. And so the thing that we noticed though is that all of our people that we've hired have come from our inbound marketing. They've all said that, I was following this person in your company on LinkedIn and I think they're amazing and I just would love to potentially join your company to see if it's a good fit. So we attracted a lot of talented individuals that we ended up hiring due to inbound marketing. So that's really cool, and that is, there's no price that you can put on great talent, okay? So opens up amazing partnership opportunities. Again, I didn't think that this was gonna happen, but it happens. And what happens when you start putting out great content is other people want you to put your content on their blog or on their podcast or on their webinar for their platform, okay? And their platform sometimes is massive and it will get you more deals than you could ever possibly imagine. And so it opens up great partnership opportunities with other people's platforms, okay? And then the other thing is authority bias. So you become a thought leader in the space. Now, if you really become the best and people start asking, hey, who should I talk to about this problem? They always say, oh yeah, go to John or whatever your agency is called. Go to Better AMS. They really know what they're talking about when it comes to XYZ, right? You become the authority in the space, the thought leader, and you have one of the cognitive biases on your side, which is authority bias, because you're basically one of the best. And that comes through putting out great content and being known as the most knowledgeable, hence you're a thought leader. There is a longer half-life. So a half-life is like when you take an Advil, the effect of that Advil is gone. Half of it is gone within, let's just say 6 hours or 12 hours. So half-life is a term that's used in the pharmaceutical industry, but it's very applicable to marketing and sales because when you have a marketing campaign run, you really want it to have a super long half-life. Ideally, you can create one ad that lasts for a year, okay? And so the half-life of that ad would be 6 months, basically. Now, content has a really long half-life. If you make a really good blog post and it ranks well on Google, if you take care of it and you update that blog post every 2 or 3 months or whatever, it's going to drive traffic to your website for years. And so the half-life of inbound content, basically blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, these platforms, specifically blogs, YouTube videos, and I forget the other one that I said, podcasts, not so much, mainly blogs and YouTube, because these platforms are designed to reward great content, and these platforms are basically search engines. If you have great content, the half-life can be years, okay? If you look at any YouTube video that you made a year ago, if it was a good video, one of your top videos, you'll notice that the views looks like a hockey stick, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up, and as it goes up, it just gets greater and greater and greater. Now, at some point, it's gonna curve off, but what I'm getting at here is the half-life of a YouTube video is insane. The half-life of a blog post is insane. Okay, it's a really long half-life, okay? And the second last thing is builds brand equity. So brand equity is just you and your brand, okay? How much is it worth? And by doing great inbound marketing, you're building brand equity, so to speak, by getting your brand name out there in all these different posts and blogs all over the place on different people's platforms, your platform, someone else's platform, their webinar, their podcast, their blog, their YouTube channel, their website. You're everywhere basically, and that builds great brand equity. The last thing is it's free, okay? It doesn't cost anything. It's just time and energy, which is expensive, but it's better than having to pay money for ads, right? So it's technically free. Let me take a sip of water here. The cons of inbound marketing, though, are very interesting. So it takes 3 to 6 months to open up opportunities. Don't expect a deal to close in 2 weeks the moment you start doing content marketing. It's gonna take 3 to 6 months for a little mini snowball to form, okay? You build the mini snowball and you start rolling it, but it's gonna take 3 to 6 months to build that mini snowball, and then you can put it in the snow and you can start rolling it and it'll become bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's gonna take 3 to 6 months just to get some traction going. Unless you already have a lot of traction, then in that case, it may take shorter, but in general, from what I've seen, if you're starting from ground zero, expect it to just take 3 to 6 months for even one deal to open up, okay? It requires relentless consistency. If you're not willing to put out a blog post or a piece of content every single week, ideally more like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, even every day would be even better. Okay, if you're not willing to do that and be relentlessly consistent, don't bother doing inbound because it requires relentless consistency. Most things in life that have a great ROI require relentless consistency. Now, there's tons of qualifying. That's the last con. Qualifying meaning you get a wide variety of leads. You get leads that are super unqualified. You get leads that are super qualified. That's a con from inbound marketing because in outbound, it's 99% super qualified leads that come through because you built the list and you went after them, okay? Inbound is where they're coming to you, right? You're attracting a wide variety of people. Outbound is your laser focused, your spear hook. You're basically going after someone laser focused. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of outbound. So outbound, the pros is that it can open up opportunities in a matter of weeks. So if you have a great outbound system and you can hit the ground running, and I mean like really running, you should be able to open up opportunities in a matter of weeks. Now, all opportunities are with ideal accounts because you chose the accounts to go after. So that's a huge pro when it comes to outbound opposed to inbound because all of them are going to be qualified if you did your list building properly. If you don't do your list building properly, well, then that's not going to be a pro for you, but you need to do your list building properly. The third thing is minimal time and energy, okay? So again, it doesn't take a lot of time and energy to open up deals if you have a good outbound system. The other thing is that the cost can be free. If you want to pay for a CRM or for different tools, you might have to pay for that. But generally speaking, it shouldn't cost less. It shouldn't cost more than like 30 or 40 bucks a month. When I started out, I just had Google Sheets and that was free. And I think I used Loom, which is a video recording software, which is free. So it can be free. Predictable revenue. This is amazing because once you have an outbound system rolling, you can build predictable revenue, which is essentially just, you know how much in new MRR you're going to sign this month. You know how much your company is going to grow next month or 30 days from today, okay? It's not 6 months from now, but you have a 30-day vision into the future of where your company is going to be at revenue-wise or new deals that's going to come through. which is beautiful when it comes to understanding cash flow and keeping a pulse on your business. So I love that side of outbound. Now inbound, you can also do this with inbound, but it's just they're slightly different, okay? Excuse me. So very scalable. Outbound is great. If you find a message sequence or a sales sequence, same thing, that works great and resonates with your niche and your audience, you have basically found a way to print money, because that's essentially what it is. All you need to do then, once you have that great sales sequence, is scale it to the moon and start contacting 1,000 people per day. Now that's 1,000 a day. It sounds very sexy. It's very difficult to do though, because list building is very time consuming, but you can build a team of list builders in the Philippines for very cheap. And if they're trained properly, it's super effective. We talked about that in a previous video where we talked about list building. If you want to check out that video, just search list building in my channel and you should be able to find it. Now, the cons of outbound are pretty simple and straightforward. There's a very short half-life. Think about, inbound, you have a YouTube video, a blog, those things can drive traffic for years. Outbound, you're sending a cold email, you're sending a cold message, you're making a cold call. The half-life of that action is literally like 30 seconds. It's nothing, right? Because once the message is seen, it's forgotten. It's completely disregarded. So there really is no half-life. I mean, you're sending a message to someone and it either resonates with them and you get the phone call, the 5 to 10 minute phone call with them, or it doesn't, and that's it. That time and energy that you spent sending that message or that cold message has pretty much zero half-life to it, which means it's not very long-term thinking, because essentially it's not going to drive value for years to come. But the second con is that there's no talent side effects. So you're not going to be getting great talent from an outbound campaign, okay? You're not going to be finding great applications for super talented people coming through to your website from outbound sales. That's just not going to happen. Maybe once in a blue moon, but very rarely. The third thing is it requires relentless consistency. This shouldn't even be a con. This is just necessary to have success in anything that you do. So these are the pros and cons. Now, personally, when I started more so inbound. When I started my agency, I think I got the agency to about $20,000 a month just doing inbound, okay? And that took more or less 6 months to a year. I forget the exact time frame. But the outbound process is great. And it depends on your niche, but honestly, whatever resonates with you, I would go with that. If you feel like you like inbound more, just do that, because you're gonna actually do it. Right? That's pretty much what I tell people, you're gonna actually do it, so just start with that. Now, if you're like, I need to close deals and make money right away, I don't care what I like more, then you should probably just go with outbound, because you're gonna be able to open up opportunities faster. Inbound, 3 to 6 months, that's what you should expect to even get the ball rolling. Outbound, if you have a good system, you can get it rolling in a matter of weeks and you can start opening up opportunities really quickly. So I also think that if you're starting an agency, for those of you who are just starting out, outbound is better, because inbound means you have to put in a lot of time and energy just to verify if there's even a viable niche or opportunity here. So if you're starting an agency and you think that this service is going to be a great service and people would pay for it, well, you don't want to invest 6 months into doing content and then find out that shit, no one wants this service. But what's great is if you can hit the ground running with a great outbound system, test it out in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, and if it doesn't work, you can pivot, okay? So hopefully you found this video valuable. If you did, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment below, let me know your thoughts. And with that being said, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next week. Ciao.